Mom and Dad, are you ready?
Today's word is stupendous.
You need some encouragement.
Stupendous marriage encouragement.
You need some inspiration.
You're listening to the Stupendous Marriage Show
with our friends Stu and Lisa Gray.
Oh, loves that word. Stupendous.
The Stupendous Marriage Show.
Welcome. It's the Stupendous Marriage Show. I'm Stu Gray.
Hey, I'm Lisa Gray.
152.
Whoop, whoop. We are here.
How are you?
We are here. I keep singing, and I don't sing very well, and I know it's aggravating you, but I'm good. How are you?
Well, you keep singing. I mean, I'm fine. I'm doing okay, Pretty good. Thank you.
Other than me singing off key.
I didn't say that. You're reading between the lines.
Yes, I am, because that is what we do. So we went out tonight, and we were walking our dogs, and I guess we really haven't talked about, we have two different dogs than when we did the show before.
Yes.
Yeah. So the one dog we had for a very long time passed away. Our first kid, she was our first fur baby, and she passed away 3 years ago.
Right.
And we got a puppy who was pretty spastic for a while.
She was, but she's mellowed out quite a lot in the past year or so.
Yes. Her name's Sweets, and she really chilled quite a bit. So much so that I really was worried about her becoming so lazy because she would just sleep all day long.
Oh, so let's get a beagle.
Well, that wasn't my intention. So I had been looking for a dog for quite some time, and people tell me that I'm crazy for going into the animal shelter because they think I'm going to adopt something every time I go.
Wait. People, I say you cannot go into the animal shelter any longer.
Well,
no more going into the animal shelters.
I don't
know. Look at the pictures of the kitty cat. Oh, look at a picture of the new puppy. But he really likes me. And you've got to stop going.
Honey, I haven't gone for some time now. Thank you very much.
Thank the Lord.
But there were a lot of times that I went and I would walk through and I would be like, no, this is, there's nobody for us.
Hey, what do you think about this one? Hey, what do you think about this one?
I did not do that all the time. Thank you very much. So anyways, fast forward to several visits to the animal shelter. And I went in and I saw this cute beagle mix dog who was about 6 months old. And I actually texted you and said, hey, why don't you come up here by yourself while Dean and I were doing something else, and you see what you think before we say anything to our son. And then what happened?
And see, this is where the story gets crazy because he acted all cool, calm, and collected with me. And he was cute, and he didn't bark, and he didn't jump. I mean, he just kind of walked around, and he had the big old floppy brown ears and the puppy eyes. And, because you walk him in the grass, you can walk him around there's a little park near the animal shelter place, and he walked well. And, he ran and kind of fumbled over his legs because he got short, stumpy little legs. And, I was able to get down and rub his belly. And that one interaction with him before we actually adopted him is the most that he has played with me since.
I wonder why.
Well, all he does is play with our other dog. Yes. And then, of course, all I do is put him away every night. So he does not like me.
Yeah.
I put him outside before I go to bed, and he runs around. And then I'll open the door, and he'll avoid me. He will not come to the back door. So I have to chase him around the backyard. I have to bribe him with doggy treats. And then I have to grab him and put him in his kennel because he's still a kennel puppy. And so he does not interact with me very well.
Well, you do realize that he worked you the day that you went to the kennel, and then he continues to work you for the treat.
Yeah, he does.
Well,
Brutal.
What happened today in particular, so we're not real consistent about taking the dogs on walks, honestly. So,
did we say his name, Spencer?
No, we did not.
Okay.
So Spencer is the beagle mix, and he is now probably about 10 months old. We've had him for 3 or 4 months now. I remember when we first got him, I don't know if you remember this or not, when we first got him, I had no idea that beagles had a different bark. He didn't bark for me either when I went to the animal shelter, right? And
yes, exactly.
We got him home, and within a day, he had this crazy loud bark. That is exactly what he sounds like.
Man, that
But
dog.
you know what's funny, babe? For the first probably 2 or 3 weeks, you loved it. Do you remember that? You thought it was it drove me crazy from day one. And you were just like, oh, it's so awesome. Oh, that's so funny. It's such a cool bark.
He had me bamboozled.
Well, and then now, so today we're walking him, and you at some point in time made the comment oh, we never should have gotten a beagle. I didn't know about the bark. And it just made me think about relationships, because so many times when people start dating, there's this thing that actually draws you to each other. Oftentimes there's things that draw you to another person, like, for instance, that maybe they're really smart and they know how to speak well and to spell words well, or that kind of stuff, right? And you're really attracted to that initially. And then as you get further in the relationship, that sometimes can backfire on you, because I know for me, especially like the first 3 or 4 years of our relationship, that
You really liked the way that I could spell, right?
no, actually, what was
Well,
funny?
you brought that was just a random.
It
Sorry,
was just a random
That's the
one.
one that stood out to me. So, okay, I just thought you really admired my spelling.
I didn't really admire your spelling. That's the only one that popped in my head, though. And now it drives me crazy because you correct me
I'm sorry.
in my spelling.
I don't mean
in my
I've
pronunciations.
stopped doing that.
You've
I've
gotten better.
Gotten better. Yes, every once in a while. I try not to.
But it really made me think about when Spencer did that today, and it just got all over your nerves. And I just kind of laughed because I remembered that you just thought it was the cutest thing when we first got him. And now it just drives you crazy, like crazy. And now I've kind of gotten used to it and doesn't bother me.
Dogs you can take back.
You cannot take them back.
I know.
Not an option.
I know.
And in relationships, especially if you're not married, obviously you cannot move forward. But
you do fall in love, and you got all these chemicals going on in your brain, and you literally are awash in love potion number 9. And after a time, it does go away. So those cute, lovey-dovey little things aren't cute, lovey-dovey, or maybe even little anymore, because you ignore those things when you first get started. And then it's like, well, what do we do now?
yeah. Well, I know that we have gotten emails in the past where people have talked about, when we met, he was so loving and affectionate, and now I just don't want him to touch me. Like, I just feel like he's always coming up and touching me or grabbing me or wanting to hug me, and I'm just like, dude, I need my space, And it's just funny how as humans, that tends to be the case. The thing we have to decide is if we're going to allow those things to become really important or not. Because the fact that you do that sometimes to me, where I don't spell something correctly, or I ask you how to spell it and you almost make fun of me a little bit, I can decide if I'm going to be offended or not about it. Most times I'm able to just go, you know what? He is doing this because he loves me and he wants to help me, even though in the moment's annoying, but I'm just going to look past it.
Our pastors say this great line about offense, and it suits this moment right here. They always say, you take offense. You don't give offense. People take offense at things. They're taking it for themselves. People don't try to offend you. It's unintentional most times. Okay? But we take that upon ourselves to be offended. We don't give offense most times, but we take it. And we go, wow, that is just so powerful. And we could so easily be offended by the little things that could offend us, that were cute in the beginning, but we're taking that offense. And how can we reframe that? How can we pray? How can we give it to God? How can we learn to move through that together and talk about it and live with it and decide whether it's going to bum you out or not?
Yeah, and I really, maybe next show we can talk about that a little bit more, because I think that is something that I know I have personally really learned from and learned about, and have gotten pretty good at handling that well. But I would love to talk about that next time we have a little bit more time.
Cool. We do have an email coming up on the show. We're so glad you're here. We really appreciate you rating and reviewing the Stupendous Marriage Show on iTunes. That way other couples can find us. We just got a new review just a little while ago from Molith. She said, I started listening to this podcast just this summer and binged. That's awesome.
Awesome.
I absolutely loved it and have my husband listen with me. Thank you both so much for taking time out of your busy lives to share the gospel, the good and the bad with marriage. I'm a newlywed, and no marriage isn't always sunshine and roses, and thankful someone can shed light on that. So happy to have you all back. Well, we're happy to be back, and we appreciate your rating and review. That's so awesome. Thank you
so much.
So here is our email today from onair@stupendousmarriage.com. My husband and I are newly married. Before our marriage, he kept a lot from me, like lusting other women he works with and sees throughout the day. This month, I just found out sometimes he even pictures other women while we're having sex. I love him, he loves me so much, but I'm lost with what questions to ask and how to hold him accountable. It seems like every other day he slips up and we have to hash it out all over again. I give him a lot of grace, but he still seems to get mad at me over being upset when he does this. Am I overreacting or asking too many questions? Should I let him tell me without me having to ask him? How much detail is too much for me to ask him about his lusting? He says he wants to change, and I truly think he does. Thanks, guys. Love your podcast. So happy for your return. Well, thank you so much for that email. Lisa, you want to start this one?
I do.
Okay.
When I saw this email, because it just came in today and I read it, my heart hurt.
Yeah.
I remember that feeling when we were in the place earlier in our relationship and you were really struggling with being addicted to pornography. And we were trying to figure out how, your heart's desire was to be better. Yeah. And my heart's desire was to help you.
Sure.
But it made day-to-day life in that really, really difficult. We decided I was going to try to be your accountability partner for a season. We tried several different things. And when I read this today, I just was like, oh gosh, I remember being in that place. And it is really, really difficult. So first and foremost, I just want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're having to go through this. Being on the other side of it many years, I can say that you can get through it. You guys can definitely get through this.
Absolutely.
There's just some things that are going to have to take place, some shifts that are going to have to happen, and a journey that has to also take place. It's not an easy fix, unfortunately.
He's going to want to have to do this himself, and you cannot constantly hold him accountable. He has got to get into some sort of counseling or recovery program through a church, through some sort of ministry, through some sort of something, so the pressure can come off of you to not be the accountability person. Whenever I dumped on Lisa, all it did was crush her spirit, make her cry, make her mad, cause a major rift between us. Not that I am holding anything back, not that he should ever hold anything back. If you do ask him about what's going on, he should tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. But don't, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? How are you today? Well, how are you tomorrow? How were you yesterday? How is this? Well, tell me all about this and tell me all about that. All you're going to do with that is kill your soul.
Yeah.
You really, really are. There are things that he should tell you when you ask directly, but how much do you really want to know about his brokenness and how broken he is? I really do believe he should share the issues that he has had, but I don't think you need to keep asking him about it, especially if he brings in someone else or a team of people around him, and it usually does take 2 or 3 or one strong mentor person, or in recovery circles, they call that person a sponsor, who he can really go to, who he can call, who he can learn from, who he can gather tools to help move through the process to deal with this lusting addiction.
Right. I will tell you from my personal experience that early on when I was trying to be Stu's accountability person, he would give me information. I quickly realized that I didn't really need to know all the details. I just didn't. I didn't need those images, those thoughts in my head. For me, I didn't need that. So I definitely think that there are things that you really don't want to know, that aren't good, aren't healthy for you to know about. For me, I think the pivotal time in our relationship was, one, when you found people that you could be accountable to.
Right.
And then 2, when I realized I can't do anything to change you. I can't do anything to keep you from doing it. And I've just got to trust that the Lord's got you and he's working it out in you. And really, I step back. I mean, I literally just step back. And every time that thought would, what is he doing? What did he do? I remember looking on the computer, and then I finally went, I don't want to see what you're looking at on the computer. I don't want to know. And I wasn't putting my head in the ground and just ignoring it, because I knew you were working on it. If you'd not been working on it, that's a different situation. But you were working on it. I saw you going out and going to these meetings and making these phone calls to these men and really pursuing being healthy initially for me and then eventually for yourself.
Yeah, and that continues. That's not like something that has stopped in my life.
Right.
I still call people. I still go to meetings like these, where guys get together and they're honest about things. And that is a super helpful thing. And it probably will be a long season for him to learn to deal with this and be able to talk about it and not hide anymore. So many guys are uncomfortable and don't know any other way other than hiding.
Right. And they isolate, which
Yeah,
is what the
exactly.
enemy wants.
Right.
He wants us to isolate so we can be alone and think we're the only ones with that struggle. The thing is, it's a struggle just like what everybody else has. It just manifests itself in a different way. It is a symptom. It is not the foundation of what's going on in his world. And that's the process he has to start walking through is, what am I looking for when I'm looking with my eyes? And what's the root of it and why I go there? And I know you walked that journey out and you did a 12-step program where you went in deep study and really worked through all that. And that was years. And so this is going to be something that you guys can definitely get through. I know you're newly married, and that's probably discouraging to think that it's something that will take a while. But the good thing is we are so much closer now than we were back then, and probably would have been if I'd either ignored it or you just hidden it from me. We've gone through some stuff together, and so now I can look at you and I can say to you when we're out somewhere, hey, are you okay? Because I can kind of feel a shift in the atmosphere, like there might be a girl that's half naked close by.
Right.
And I actually come beside you and help to kind of shield your eyes if I need
and
to.
see, now we're so many years into it, it's very cool because let's give an example. Okay, so we go to the water park, and you've got various states of clothing, obviously, for ladies. And there have been times when we have gone like first thing in the summer, and I will get anxious and I will get angry and I will close down and not speak because I'm so uncomfortable and I'm trying to protect my eyes and trying to honor you, that it just weighs on me really, really heavy. And you sense that, okay? And then you do ask me directly. You say, are you okay? Is something going on? And then I can say to you, well, this is the first time here in a long while. It is bikinis and all these ladies, and most of them you don't want to look at. But I'm trying to be above board, and I feel the weight of that. And so I'm just trying to work through that. And after I say that, which is what happens when you deal with stuff honestly and you actually start revealing yourself, it lifts off.
Absolutely.
And we're able to, again, something else that we learned is to battle it together. You
Right.
can pray for me. You can talk to me about it. You can help me. Oh, you don't look over there. That's okay.
Yeah.
You do that sort of stuff. And we stand together against this thing, not me alone, not you alone.
Right. And I realized probably one of the other big things that helped me is I realized this addiction that you had was not who you are. It was literally something that had a hold of you. And so I really would go in defense mode, not towards you, but towards it, because I'm like, you get away from my husband. You have no place here. And the cool thing is in our marriage, because I've had to struggle with fear, you've done the same thing for me. I've had stuff come on me before where I start feeling fearful and anxious, and I'll be like, I'm uncomfortable right now. And we stop and pray together, and you stand with me and you hug me. It is both ways. That's part of marriage, is really being there for each other and helping each other through to refine and to really work through the stuff that we all have.
We hope this conversation really helped you, and, we'd love to hear what's going on. Hopefully he can get some accountability and get into a good group that will help with this. You can send us your email on air at stupendousmarriage.com, or you can send us a voicemail. We've got a brand new number that you can call us and leave a voice message.
That number is 615-592-1060. We would love to hear from you, hear how you're doing, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time.
You can help us grow the show, too. Subscribe in your favorite podcast app. You can also share the podcast with your married friends. You can do it, one-on-one. Hey, you should really listen to the Stupendous Marriage Show, or via social media.
Well, we had that email just a couple weeks ago, and it was a pastor saying that he referred a lot of couples to the show, which is so cool to know that people are able to see it as a resource, and that's our heart.
It's humbling, and we really appreciate you listening.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Have a great week.
See ya.
Hasta la vista.
Baby.
Adios.
Sayonara. Arrivederci. Happy trails.
What is Happy Trails? What's the
Happy
song?
trails to you.
I won't
Until
sing
we
anymore
meet
tonight.
again. Happy trails.
Turn it off.